Mesopotamia was an ancient region in the Middle East, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It's often called the cradle of civilization because many important developments in human history happened there. A land of ancient wonders and the cradle of civilization. We journey back thousands of years to a time before our own to explore the lives of those who walked these lands. Some of the major cities in Mesopotamia were Babylon, Nineveh, Akkad, Uruk, Eridu. Each of these cities had its own unique culture, history, and contributions to Mesopotamian civilization. Cities that rose from the earth, their ziggurats reaching for the heavens. We will walk their streets, hear their stories. Empires forged in fire and ambition. We will witness their triumphs, their struggles. What you are about to see is a glimpse into their world, a world of bustling cities, grand temples, and the echoes of powerful empires. While we strive to capture the spirit of this era, remember that this is but a story woven from the threads of history. The true lives and voices of these ancient people may forever remain a mystery. Their advanced mathematics and astronomy, they developed a number system based on 60, which we still use for time and angles today. Second, their intricate legal system under Hammurabi, with his famous code of laws. And third, their rich mythology and epic tales, like the story of Gilgamesh. Mesopotamia was also known for its impressive architecture, like the ziggurats, which were huge temples shaped like stepped pyramids. They also had elaborate palaces and city walls. The Mesopotamians, they believed the stars and planets influenced events on Earth, and they used astrology to predict things like the future of their kings, wars, and even the weather. They created detailed star charts and tracked the movements of celestial bodies. They even developed the concept of the zodiac. Now the journey begins. Uruk, located in ancient Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. It was a major center of Sumerian civilization. Uruk was a pretty amazing place for its time. We're talking around 4,500 BCE, so way back. It was one of the first true cities in the world.
Sagdum Gabi, Zigabi.
Did you bring the incense, Enki?
I did. The gods will be pleased.
We must hurry. The sun sets for the ritual.
May Inanna bless our crops.
With a population of maybe 40,000 people, they had massive temples called ziggurats, a complex government, and even writing. It was a real center of civilization. The people of Uruk spoke Sumerian. It's a really old language. They wrote it using a system called cuneiform, which used wedge-shaped marks on clay tablets. The people of Uruk, they ate a lot of barley, which they used to make bread and beer. They also ate dates, fruits, vegetables, and fish from the rivers. Based on artwork and sculptures from the time, we know they had a variety of looks. Some had shaved heads, while others had long hair and beards. They wore simple clothing, usually made of wool or linen. The people of Uruk worshipped a whole pantheon of gods and goddesses. The most important one was probably Anu, the sky god, who was considered the king of all the gods. They also worshipped Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and Enlil, the god of the air and storms. The architecture in Uruk was pretty impressive, especially for its time. They built massive temples called ziggurats, which were like stepped pyramids made of mud bricks. These ziggurats were the center of city life, both religiously and politically. They also built large palaces and homes for the wealthy, while the common people lived in simpler mud brick houses. Eridu. It's considered one of the oldest cities in the world, and there's evidence of a temple there dating back to around 5,400 BCE. So it was definitely around before Uruk, but it's not considered the first city. Eridu is considered one of the oldest cities in the world, and it was a major religious center for the Sumerians. They believed it was the first city created by the gods, and it was dedicated to Enki, the god of water and wisdom. The city had a long history, lasting for thousands of years, and it played an important role in the development of Sumerian culture. Eridu people looked like were similar to other Sumerians in the region. They likely wore simple clothing made from wool or linen. As for language, they spoke Sumerian, which was the common language in the area. They worshipped Enki, the god of water and wisdom, and their main way of surviving was through farming and fishing. The city was located near the Persian Gulf, so fishing was probably a big part of their diet.
Enki sculpted the first humans from clay, just like the banks of this life-giving water, and breathed wisdom into them.
Barrage! Anzam lugalla ketört.
Was a Sumerian city-state that flourished for thousands of years. It was established sometime before 3800 BC. And was abandoned around 500 BC. The Sumerians were known for their advancements in writing, math, and astronomy. They developed cuneiform, one of the earliest systems of writing, and built impressive structures like the Great Ziggurat of Ur. They were skilled farmers, using irrigation to grow crops in the dry climate, and they traded extensively with other regions. They likely spoke Sumerian, a language isolate. And their diet consisted of things like barley, dates, and fish. The Sumerians are credited with inventing the wheel, developing irrigation techniques for agriculture, and creating a complex number system. They were also skilled artisans, producing intricate pottery, metalwork, and jewelry. The Sumerians had a polytheistic religion, meaning they worshipped many gods and goddesses. They believed these deities controlled various aspects of nature and human life. They built impressive temples called ziggurats to honor their gods, and priests played an important role in their society. Sumerian religious beliefs. They believed that the gods lived in temples within the city, and each city had its own patron deity. They performed rituals and sacrifices to appease the gods, hoping for their favor and protection. They also had a concept of an afterlife, which they envisioned as a shadowy underworld.
Goodbye!
The Akkadian Empire was the first ancient Semitic-speaking empire, and it was centered in the city of Akkad. It united all the independent city-states in Mesopotamia under one ruler. They were around for a pretty long time, from about 2334 to 2154 BC. That's almost 200 years.
The harvest looks promising this year. The rains were kind.
Indeed, the gods have blessed us. The children will be happy.
This cloth is woven with the finest skill.
The colors are vibrant, but the price is high.
The Akkadian Empire was ruled by a series of kings, with Sargon of Akkad being the most famous. He united the region and created the first multinational empire in history. Akkad was the capital of the Akkadian Empire, which was the first ancient Semitic-speaking empire. It united all the independent city-states in Mesopotamia under one ruler. Akkad was a pretty important city, especially when Sargon of Akkad was in charge. He united all the city-states in Mesopotamia and created the Akkadian Empire. It was the first time so many different people were under one ruler. The city itself was probably a mix of grand palaces and temples for the rulers and gods, and more modest homes for the regular folks. We don't know exactly what it looked like, since it hasn't been fully excavated yet. The Akkadians worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, with some of the most important ones being Anu, the sky god, Enlil, the god of air and storms, and Ishtar, the goddess of love and war. They also worshipped Sin, the moon god, and Shamash, the sun god.
celestial serpent.
أهوزات نكروتي شقدميات إنا نشيا وشخزاني دام قاتم شعالم أن يمشى إنا أمي ما أثروتم إبانو ننو نلي كمانيندن.
Babylon was a major city in ancient Mesopotamia, located on the Euphrates River. It was the capital of the Babylonian Empire, which was one of the most powerful empires in the ancient world.
These plans will ensure Babylon's walls stand for millennia.
Indeed. This city will be the jewel of the world.
Babylon was known for its impressive architecture, including the famous Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which were considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Babylon was definitely one of the big ones. It was a major center of power, especially under Hammurabi.
The lion's heart moves by a finger's breadth each cycle. See?
And you can predict its return to the very day.
Other important Mesopotamian cities include Nineveh, which was the capital of the Assyrian Empire, and Ur, which was a major Sumerian city. The Babylonians were pretty advanced. They were skilled farmers, using irrigation to grow crops like barley and wheat. They were also great traders, and their city was a major center for commerce. They wore clothes made of wool and linen, and they spoke Akkadian. The Babylonians had a complex religion with many gods and goddesses. They believed in an afterlife, and their religion influenced many other cultures in the region.
The law is a foundation, precise, unyielding.
An unyielding foundation can also be a merciless one.
The Babylonians were known for their advanced math and astronomy. They developed a number system based on 60, which we still use for time and angles today.
Look, there. The lion's mane aligns with the great twins.
Yes, I see. And the herdsman follows closely.
The stars align tonight. A message from the heavens. I must record this.
Nineveh, a city of stark beauty and brutal power. Imagine towering walls, temples gleaming under the sun, and a people who carved their place in history with both brilliance and bloodshed. Nineveh was the capital of the Assyrian Empire, which was a major power in the ancient world. They were masters of war, skilled in ironwork and siegecraft. Their armies feared across the ancient world, but they also built great libraries, preserving knowledge from across the lands. Their kings, like Ashurbanipal, were both warriors and scholars. Nineveh was established way back around 6000 BC, but it really became important around 1800 BC as a center for worshiping the goddess Ishtar. They spoke Akkadian, a Semitic tongue, and the fierce goddess of love and war. Nineveh, a city of contradictions, a place where art and cruelty walked hand in hand. It remained a major city until it was destroyed in 612 BC. The people of Nineveh were skilled farmers, growing crops like barley and wheat. They also raised livestock like sheep and goats. For food, they ate things like bread, stews, and dates.
Шулман, Atta.
نركباتي ششاري تشمو نركبتو ششاري لا ماشيل أنا ميني تقبيو شائلاني إشبرونياتي ننوى آلو دانو شاشاري ربي زيغوراتشو ألتو شامي إنايتال
Oh, great unbelievable
May this offering please.
Nippur was a really important city in ancient Mesopotamia, kind of like their religious center. It was located on the Euphrates River, and people thought it was super sacred. It was dedicated to Enlil, who was like the king of the gods. Nippur was a religious center, so people there were mostly focused on serving the temples and gods. They had priests, scribes, and artisans who made offerings and decorations for the temples. There were also regular folks who lived in the city and farmed the surrounding land. The people of Nippur primarily spoke Sumerian, which was the main language of southern Mesopotamia at the time. The main god in Nippur was Enlil, who was considered the king of all the gods in Mesopotamian religion. They also worshipped other gods and goddesses, like Inanna, the goddess of love and war, and Nana, the moon god. The temples in Nippur were pretty impressive. They were built with mud bricks and often decorated with colorful tiles and carvings. The most famous one was the Temple of Enlil, which had a huge ziggurat, kind of like a stepped pyramid. It was a really important place for religious ceremonies and rituals. Nippur was a major Sumerian city, so it had a lot of the typical Mesopotamian architecture. Think mud brick buildings, flat roofs, and not a lot of stone. The most important building was the Akkad, the Temple of Enlil. It was a huge ziggurat, which is like a stepped pyramid with a temple on top. Around the Akkad, there were other temples dedicated to different gods, as well as houses and shops.
Come, sing with us.
The gods are smiling tonight.
Meleme kurrata namlugalla suha. Anki alugallani ekurra anada.
The lion's passage through the celestial river.
Yes, but see how the crab follows closely.
And the scales. They remain in perfect balance.
This section here needs to be measured again.
Agreed. The previous calculation seems off by a few cubits.
Alumsha itti shame ishtenu. Zikirshu ana darish lillik.
Shapta rabihata, ummani rabihuma, banuwati rabihat. Sharru rabu, ilu rabu, nishu rabate, lishanu rabito.
Li halti tempti, li sunki annissa rahuttik. Tivena elamia shaushka, annia udurrani karib.
Scouts report a large force gathering beyond the ridge. They intend to attack at dawn.
The work honors the gods.